These are the symbols of freedom as Barbados emerged into the sun of national sovereignty. The instruments of freedom are the people's representatives who, as government and opposition, have led Barbados in the paths of democracy for more than 300 years of comparatively stable and quiet history. The people themselves, carrying out this tradition of free choice, went to the polls only 27 days before independence to select a government to lead them into this splendid dawn. A unique example of dedication to the concept of democracy. A free people, from the beginning of their history, free from wars of conquest or race. Quiet, tidy, and industrious people with a desire for order in their homes and in their lives. Good-natured, smiling, self-confident, and ambitious, especially ambitious for their children, with a passion for education and the fruits which it brings. A mixture of races growing up together, going to school together, and working together on a mere 166 square miles of sunny land. They carry the same zeal for order in their games. In cricket, they are the most fanatically dedicated people in the world. Now they are also beginning to reach out into other fields of competitive sport with a sort of cautious questing. And the sea, that familiar element, is not sport. It is fun, a liquid playground a few steps away from their homes. Here too, in days of sun under blue skies, they revel in their freedom. And this is the land where they live, set apart in the Eastern Caribbean, away from the archipelago that stretches from Florida to South America, a lone outpost, offering first greeting to the rising sun. A tiny land, but a beautiful land. Flat, they say, but with subtle, exciting curves like a young girl approaching womanhood. Here, the green glory of sugarcane ripening in the spring sun, filling the valleys and crowning the hills while the roadside gleams with color and light, and the pathways lie dappled in shade. Here in the upper portion, the land has the breathtaking beauty of a mature woman, with the lineaments of deep and provocative experience. It was here at Holetown that the island was accidentally come upon by the Portuguese in 1536, and again by the English in 1625. They returned to settle in 1627. It was then a desolate spot, but with the mystery, the color, and the enchantment characteristic of the tropics. Later, a monument, incorrectly dated, was erected to mark the spot. These first settlers are said to have walked down the beach to the Indian River, where they planted a cross. Up this creek, still a haven for inter-island schooners and pleasure yachts, they built their first town, Bridgetown. And at Speightstown, they established a thriving trading port, which they nicknamed Little Bristol because of its traffic with Bristol, England. They fortified it to defend themselves against invaders. Speightstown is still a quaint and charming old 17th century town, but complacent in its old world look. There were 80 Englishmen and 10 Negroes in that first settlement, the nucleus of the mixed society that Barbados has become today. These Englishmen, fleeing from religious and political persecution, established almost at once a three-pronged Barbadian tradition. They built churches, they introduced schools, and they established a parliament along the lines of the Westminster model. Within 10 years of settlement, they had built 6 churches, filling them every Sunday with people and song. They even passed a law to make church-going compulsory. With the church went the establishment of schools, financed and run by the church, until in later years the government was strong enough to take over the operation of most schools and give free education from infancy to adulthood, from the nursery school to the university. In the preamble to the new Barbados Constitution, these sentiments appear. Whereas the love of free institutions and of independence has strongly characterized the inhabitants of Barbados, now, therefore, the people of Barbados proclaim that they are a sovereign nation founded upon principles that acknowledge the supremacy of God, the dignity of the human person, their unshakable faith in fundamental human rights and freedoms, the position of the family in a society of free men and free institutions. Affirm their belief that men and institutions remain free only when freedom is founded upon respect for moral and spiritual values and the rule of law. Barbadians believe that education is the anvil upon which these principles are forged. And if the sound body is a prerequisite of the sound mind, then the health services, as epitomized in the new Queen Elizabeth Hospital, lend further weight to the sense of values and of direction in Barbadian goals. The bedrock of their endeavor was and still is sugar, which constitutes over 70% of the total domestic exports. 20% of the labor force for 4 or 5 months of the year is engaged in harvesting this crop in order to earn the loaves and fishes of this earth, to educate their children, and keep a roof over their heads. But within recent years, determined efforts have been made to diversify agriculture, to establish light industries employing large numbers of people, and promising progress is being made at a number of well-sited industrial estates. The island has excellent communications by wireless and by telephone. Pick up the phone and you can be in touch with any other part of the world at any time of the day or night. It is at the center of air communications in the region, and it has a clean and efficient harbor, providing berths for 8 ships and the necessary ancillary services. Second now only to sugar is the thriving tourist industry, flocking to a land of good hotels, bright sunshine, excellent sea bathing, and hospitable people. A combination of heritage and planned endeavor. So that when independence came, Barbadians were conscious that they were celebrating the climax of a long but unbroken journey to political freedom. In 1639, just 12 years after settlement, the island had its first parliament comprising a governor and a general assembly. Parliamentary government is thus a treasured heritage in the onward march to freedom. As part of the independence celebrations, nearly 400 school children presented a pageant of Barbadian history. Among the highlights was the English Civil War period, when the island asserted its claims to certain rights as a self-governing colony, culminating in the Charter of Barbados in 1652. In 1710, Queen Anne gave the Lower House sole prerogative over money bills. Then there was the abolition of slavery and the riots of 1937, which paved the path to more liberal policies. There were men to match the moments. Prescott, buried in St. Mary's churchyard, and Sir Conrad Reeves. Hence the dawn of independence came. It was not so much an abrupt transition as another inevitable milestone on a long charted road to destiny. In his speech from the throne on Independence Day, His Royal Highness the Duke of Kent, Special Representative of Her Majesty the Queen, said,
"May well be said to be sprung from the land itself. The Constitution of Barbados has been agreed on through the recognized democratic processes. It was drafted by the government, debated and approved by both chambers of the Barbados legislature, and finally examined at a conference held in London earlier this year, at which all the then major political parties were represented. A few hours ago, the people of this country saw the end of a state of dependency on Great Britain and the realization of their hopes and aspirations when at midnight last night the territory became an independent state within the Commonwealth of Nations. The other independent countries of the Commonwealth have unanimously agreed to the admission of Barbados to membership of the Commonwealth. My government appreciates this acceptance into the Commonwealth and will continue to support the principle of Commonwealth solidarity as long as this principle is consistent with justice and equality. The citizens of Barbados are now completely, formally responsible for all of the affairs of their country. I extend my sincere congratulations and best wishes to you.
Barbadians celebrated the great event with restrained joy. The achievement of independence was a wonderful thing, but it was the beginning and not the end of the road. In a parade of floats, they displayed their community services and organizations. Civil service, teachers, nurses, business, trades unions, service clubs, and the young people who would carry the torch of order and freedom in the years ahead.
He sees all you do, and he hears all you say. My lords are writing all the time. Oh, he sees all you do, and he hears all you say. My lords are writing all the time. I envy to have, but I've been told. My lords are do, and he hears all you say. My Lord's a-writing all the time. Oh, he sees all you do, and he hears all you say. My Lord's a-writing all the time. When Peter was preaching on Pentecost, my Lord's a-writing all the time. He was endowed with the Holy Ghost, my Lord's a-writing all the time. Oh, he sees all you do, and he hears all you say. My Lord's a-writing all the time. Oh, he sees all you do, and he hears all you say. My Lord's a-writing all the time. You may talk about me just as much as you please. My Lord's a-writing all the time. But I talk about you when I get on my knees. My Lord's a-writing all the time. Oh, he sees all you do, and he hears all you say. My Lord's a-writing all the time. Oh, he sees all you do, and he hears all you say. My Lord's a-writing all the time.
On the culminating occasion of the flag-raising ceremony at midnight, there was a display that was moving in its beauty and orderliness. Taking part were the Barbados Land Ship, the Cadet Corps, the Regiment, the Royal Barbados Police, and detachments of the British and Canadian navies. Barbados is a young nation in every sense. With 48% of its population under the age of 21, it takes its place among the independent nations of the world. The future beckons with promise. A few days after independence, a United Nations vessel for research in fishing was handed over to the island's first Prime Minister, the Honorable Errol Barrow. In another part of the island, the HARP project on space research may yet illuminate the scientific horizons of the world. Making his acceptance speech at the United Nations, the Prime Minister said of his people,
"They could best sum up their attitude at this moment of their history in the words of Mr. Valiant for Truth, an interesting character in John Bunyan's famous book. Though with much difficulty I have come hither, yet I do not repent me of the trouble I have taken."